This is Mr. Ashen going over really important feedback from your bookmark on what we've been doing on recent work on data. So, first thing I'm going to look at is bar charts, and I've taken a photo of somebody's waggle in our books, and I'm just going to recap what was really important, what we should have expected to have seen in bar charts. And this one's been really well labelled. So we're saying here that we've got to write a title, that the two axes must be labelled, all numbers on must be on the line in equal steps. Now this is key. If I zoom in a bit more here on the waggle, can you see that it's gone 1, 2, 3, 4 equal steps, always going up in the same number, and the number is physically on that line. That is really important. You could, if you wanted to, have written 0 by here, and that's something we talked about in class, and whoever's book this was decided they didn't want to write that in. I don't write it in myself, but you can write it, but that 0 must be on this this x-axis here. Okay, so if you write it in, 0 must be there. And if I zoom out a bit more, all bars are same width and leave equal space between. That's really important. So there's one square left there, so there must be one square left between all of them. But that could change depending on how many spaces you want to leave. It depends how much space you have in your book. And then this bit's really important as well. Use a ruler to draw straight lines. And also label key effectively. Now what I'm going to show now is some work done by us, and we're going to pause the video and think whether we agree that they're really good solutions. So here's the first one, and I want you to have the video pause now and to have a think about whether this is really good or not. Okay then, now Sir will discuss this in class with you, and we will move on to the next question. And again, Sir will pause that now, and we'll have a discussion about that in a moment. And the next one. And the next one. And the next one. And finally this one here. Okay then, so after your discussions, now I want you to think if there are any issues or any further issues that could come up with questions like these. So have a look at this one again, pause the video, think if there are any issues, think about how this could be improved. Potentially it may be the case that you think it can't be improved. And moving on to this one. Okay then, what I want us to do now is just recap what the important features are here. So what I want you to do is I want you to draw a very quick bar chart, but putting on there very important features that you think should be seen. Okay, so if I was to draw one very quickly, now using a ruler, I would draw in an axis there and there, and we can put some numbers along here, and we can label, and we can draw our bar chart, and we will discuss what we think makes a really good bar chart. So that will be done now on your sheets. Okay, the other thing that we looked at when we were doing our data work, we've only done one question on this so far, so this is something we're going to really try and develop today, and that is work on pie charts. Now the formula that we learned to help us work out pie charts, you need to write now, really importantly, in the what is the key message. So I'm going to write out the proper formula, and then we're going to try and short it to help us remember in an exam. So it's going to be frequency, and then divided by the total frequency, and then think how many degrees go into a pie chart. It's 360, and that is our really important formula. Okay, now what we're going to shorten that to eventually, I'm going to write all over my own work, F over TF times 360, and it's much easier to remember that in smaller letters to write down in an exam to help us rather than this longer statement here. Okay, so that is something you need to go and learn. So I want that written in your key message, and I want you to write next to it, learn off by heart. Okay, you need to learn that formula. It's really, really important. Okay, so to work out our degrees by here, what we need to do is we need to spell the word degrees properly. There we go. What we need to do is we need to work out the total frequency. So the way we do that, we're going to write an equals underneath here, and we're going to add these numbers up. So 5, add 12, add 7, add 6. Now you can do this in any order you want, or you can use a calculator. This is a calculator topic. So putting those into a calculator and adding them all together gives me an answer of 30. Now I'm going to use the formula that we just talked about, this formula here. F over TF times 360. So what am I talking about? So in this box here, I'm looking at the frequency I've got here. So the frequency that I've got here was, I just highlighted it, was 5. So I do 5 divided by, and then the total frequency, so how many were there in total? There were 30 in total. So 5 divided by 30, and then always times by 360. That will always be there. That's going into a calculator, and if you do not have a scientific calculator in front of you, you will put this into your calculator. You'll say 5 divided by 30 times by 360, and it will give you the following answer: 60 degrees. Okay. To do the next one now, so this one here is very, very similar. In fact, I can tell you now it's going to have an over 30 part, and it's going to have a times by 360 part. The only thing that's going to change is this top number here, because the frequency of guitar is 12. So 12 is the number that's going by there. So 12 by there. Now again, that is going into your calculator, and if you don't have a scientific calculator, you'd say 12 divided by 30 times by 360. So that gives an answer of 144. And again, I can start writing in this one by here. Again, I know it's going to be over 30 times by 360, and then the number that's here this time is a 7, so it's 7 that goes up on the top there. And into our calculator goes 7 over 30 times by 360, and you should get the answer 84 degrees. And then very finally, the last one is a frequency of, oh, didn't mean to use that tool, is a frequency of 6, so it's going to be 6 over 30 times by 360, and you should get the answer 72 degrees. Now, I would always like you to check by doing 60, add this 144, now admittedly it's 60 and 144 in this answer, but add all these degrees up, and it should make a number. So run that through your calculator now and see what you get, and hopefully you got the same answer as me, which was 360. Now that's good news, because it's 360 degrees that goes into a full circle. If it's not 360 degrees, you've done something wrong with your formula. Okay, so it's a very easy way to see if you're going right or going wrong. Okay then, so drawing your pie chart. Now, you will usually have a circle given to you in a test. I would like you, on your circle when you have it, to actually go and colour the middle in, so it's a little bit easier to find with your protractor, and you'll see exactly what I mean in a moment. So I'd always recommend colouring the middle in, and if that line, they may not have this line drawn for you, I want you to draw this straight line up here. Now, we've got to draw an angle of 60 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to try doing this using the iPad. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, my apologies, but we'll see what happens. So, hopefully, I'm going to have a protractor pop up now. And I'm just going to rotate it round. Now, the crosshair of my protractor needs to go onto that circle there. And then I need to make sure that my protractor has the 0 on the line physically there. Okay, now, I am looking for where 0 is on the line. So 0 is on the line here, not this 0 by here, because that isn't on the line. This is on the line where 0 is. So if I zoom right in, what we should see here is at the centre of the circle, that's where my crosshair is, where those 3 lines meet up Let's try doing all three together. Where those two lines meet up is on the circle, and then if I zoom out a bit, we have this 0 here on the line. So I'm looking for 60 on the inside of my protractor. So 60, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So I come out to the outside, and I, for me personally, would mark at 120. What I would do now is I would get rid of my protractor, put it to one side, and I would draw a straight line going through those 2 points. Okay, so there's my first line drawn in there. So what I did was I looked where the centre of the circle was, so by here, put my ruler through that mark there and drew a straight line across. Now the next angle I'm going to draw in is 144. So what I need to do now is I need to get my protractor and I need to put it back on here, but I put 0 on the new line there. So the crosshair goes on the centre and 0 on the new line like that, okay? So there. And I'm looking for 144, so 0 here, coming round, not on the outside because that 0 is not on the line. So coming round, there's 140, there's 150. Let's zoom in. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's zoom in. There's 140, there's 150. I come out to 140 and I'm going 4 towards 150. So I come out here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I make my mark by there. What I will do now is I will move my protractor out of the way and I'll draw a straight line going from the centre here, going through to this point here like that. Okay? Okay, I've drawn my line. Now you can see my lines are coming a little bit out of the pie chart. It does not matter one bit if they're doing that. I'm finding it easier for me to go through my point there because it's coming just outside the circle. But what some people do, because they think it looks messy, is they'll only draw it up to this bit here. Now, one thing I would recommend that we're doing as we're going along, I've measured these angles. I have actually measured them really, really accurately. So I'm going to write in here 60 degrees because I measured it, and I'm going to write in here 144 degrees because I measured it. The next one I'm going to do is an angle of 84 from here. So I will now get my protractor again. I'm going to rotate it around, not that one there, this one here. I'm going to rotate it around so 0 is on the line and that the crosshair is on the centre of the circle. So there, centre of the circle and 0 is on the line. Perfect. Okay, so again, if I wanted to, I could zoom right in there and we can see that my crosshair is on the centre of the circle and that my 0 is on that line. Now I'm looking for 84 this time. Can you see there? It's 84. So I'm going to come along. I'm looking for 0 on the line. Here's 0 on the line by here, and I'm coming across to 80. There's 80. So I'm now going to jump out to by here. There's 90, so I'm going up towards 94 places, and I'm going to make a mark by here. Okay, what I would now do is I would now remove my protractor, take that to one side, and I'm going to draw a straight line going from the centre through my line there. Okay, and again I'm going to label that angle that I've just measured, and it was this angle here was 84 degrees. And then finally the last one is 72. Now if you've plotted these correctly or accurately, it should be that when I move my protractor over, wrong one, when I move my protractor over and put 0 on the new line and the crosshair on the centre, I should be on 72. And oh, not quite. Easier said than done, this bit. Yeah, I can see there that with 0 dead on this line here, can I move it a tiny bit? There we go, 0 on that line there. Now can you see there that this line here is going just up there, 70, it's just past there, probably on 71 now, it should be 72. The good news is, in an exam, you're allowed to be 2 degrees over or 2 degrees under on each of your angles. So there may be a slight discrepancy, that means it may be slightly out, but that's absolutely fine as long as it is within 1 to 2 degrees. Okay, so if you're unsure, make sure you're getting your hand up to ask me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move the protractor to one side. There we go. And I'm going to write in here the angle that I've just measured it. I'm going to say 72, even though when I measured it, it was 71, because I'm allowed to be a couple above and a couple below if needs be, okay? But the more accurate you are, the better, okay? Now, 60 degrees belong to the clarinet, so I'm going to write in here, and it's really important that you label your pie chart because you'll get a mark for that in the exam. The next one then was guitar, so I'm going to write in here guitar, and the next one was the flute, so that's going to go in there, and finally the last one was the drums. Okay, now that will gain full 4 marks in an exam. You will get 2 marks to table, 1 for using the formula and then 1 for calculating the degrees, and then you will get 2 marks for drawing your angles all within 2 above or 2 under from what you said there. But the closer you can get to the number that you said there, the better. Okay, now finally I wanted to show you some excellent work that you've done that I've seen in your books from the one question we've done so far. I'm really happy with this because I can see the total there has been added up. I can see that this formula has then been used repeatedly here to work out the angles, and I've measured these angles here and they're absolutely perfect. They're better than my one was. That is 90, that is 60, etc, etc, etc. Okay, and again, just to show you one that was a little bit more like mine from the video, the lines have come outside of the circle, not a problem at all. This is absolutely superb work. Okay, what I want you to do now on your sheet is I want you to pause the video and I want you to attempt to work out the degrees that we should be here, and I will give you one slight hint, but it's a hint, it's not the actual formula of what you need. You need to try and work out how you use this formula. Okay, so over to you. Can you work out the degrees for each of these things here, please?